If you really want to survive what is coming, then you need to be doing this. Hey everybody, this is Michael with Asymmetrical Preparedness. Today, not talking about all the tactical stuff, because I'll tell you what, that stuff is important. Those skill sets are important. Those tools are important. Though that gear is important. Those seeds are important. All that stuff is important because you got to have a way to defend yourself. But you probably will have to use this at some point. But I tell you what you're gonna have to do, guaranteed. This stuff you're gonna have to eat. So we're gonna talk about that today. I'm gonna walk around here, show you what we're doing, show you that we're actually doing the things, and we're trying to produce as much food as we possibly can. As soon as we get done harvesting something, we pull it up and we replant immediately to see how much we can pull out of our garden. How many calories can we produce? Talk about some hints, some tips, what I've learned, what I'm doing, what we grow, how we grow it, which may or may not apply to you because I'm in the Pacific Northwest. So take from it what you may, but I guarantee you're gonna have to eat. You may have to use one of these, which is important also. We talk about that kind of stuff a lot on Patreon. Check us out there, links in the description below, or just go to Patreon, Asymmetrical Preparedness, $1 a month. Tons of good stuff there. Come join us on Team AP. And another thing there, I post my daily workouts so you can see if you are interested, hopefully you are, in improving your fitness, what I'm doing. And don't forget to subscribe. Be one of the cool kids. Go to all the prepper channels and subscribe. Give the thumbs up, please. Comment below. Share the videos. Help us do all things. Let's get on with the video. So let's start here. I am a big proponent of sustainability, sustainable gardening. What do I mean by that? Means having things in your garden that you don't have to replant every single year. You can save your seeds, you can replant, that's fine. But I really like going the direction of having things that will continue to produce, and all I have to do is maybe, give them some fertilizer, stuff like that, water them, take care of them, stuff like that. But they'll grow year after year. So starting off here, what is this? It's our fig tree. We just put it in this year. It's a first year fig tree, mulched, taken care of, and yeah, I'm going to change the setup here pretty soon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up all these rocks, put cardboard all the way around it, probably out to about here-ish, to kill all the weeds. And then I will pile the concrete, or pile the blah, blah, blah. Yes, I make mistakes. Pile the cardboard up with a bunch of these rocks and make it look really nice. And it'll keep down the weeds and take care of the fig tree. Probably add some fertilizer to that. All right, so let's move on to this bed here. What are these? These are watermelons. This is kind of an experiment because here in Western Washington, it is very difficult to grow watermelons. So I'm just letting them kind of growing around through here. Oh, wow, I hadn't even seen this yet. Cool. Check it out. There's a watermelon. I hadn't seen that one yet. I hadn't really looked around here yet, but or in that area yet. But there's another one right there, right in there you can see. And there's a pumpkin. We're going to grow a lot of pumpkins because pumpkins, you can get a lot of seeds from a pumpkin. And they're hardy. You can use them a lot of different things, soups, stews, pumpkin pie. There's a lot of things. You can just, throw them in stir fries, whatever you want. Pumpkins are really good because they produce a lot of food, which is important. That's one of the things I look at. Here's another little watermelon right there. Yeah, so we might actually get some watermelons if the heat and the sun and everything keep up. So that's why I planted them in this metal bed made out of leftover roofing panels from our metal roof that were behind our shed. So that's one reason why I did that. And I planted all of the pumpkins, the butternut squash, the watermelons, and I'll show you over there in another bed, cantaloupes near the edge so the heat will absorb and they'll get more heat and do better. So anyway, that's the thought behind that. Let me go around this bed here and show you guys some things. Beautiful, like I said, pumpkins. There's one down in there. That's a pretty good size one. You guys can see that. So yeah, pumpkins are really good. There's a bunch more in there. I'm not going to sit there and show you every single pumpkin. Green beans. Those are nearing the end of their life. So because of this bed, I'm not going to pull them up and replant, because I'm just going to let the pumpkins take over the space and do their thing. But also underneath there are carrots that are getting ready for harvest. I'm going to be pulling them up soon because they're getting shaded really, by the pumpkins and the butternut squashes here on this side. So that's the plan with that. And this bed is a brand new bed this year. So yeah, going really well. All right, what's over here? This is also another brand new bed this year, all the way down. That entire bed is new this year. These were strawberry runners from my neighbor. I have a bunch also, but I got some from her, so we planted them over here. And they're doing really well, as you can see. We actually have a strawberry growing right there, and another flower over there. Berries are sustainable. They will grow back year after year. That's why another thing I'll show you right here, it's not really part of our garden, but look at this. Look at all those blackberries. Yeah, we have blackberries growing all over here. I mean, as you can see, all around. These are my favorite blackberries. The ones that come from these leaves here, because they're longer and they grow kind of, instead of round, they grow like cylinder, and they, even when they're firm, they're still really sweet, which I don't like mushy food. It's just a thing with me. But yeah, I mean, you can see there's blackberries growing everywhere. So that's a lot of sustainable food right there. Really awesome, really exciting. All right, moving on this bed, you can see peppers. We got some question mark peppers because I got starts from my neighbor. Turns out that looks like a jalapeno and a peppercini. So that's really good. We got Carolina Reapers, we got ghost peppers, we got jalapenos, we have peppercinis, we got cayenne peppers, and we got Santa Fe Grandes. Doing really well. Here, I'll back up a little bit so you can see a better view of all the peppers. I haven't had very good luck growing peppers from seed, so these starts are really nice. But I will show you over another part of the garden where I have a pepper plant growing from seed, several, that are doing very well. These are zucchini, and we're getting pretty close to our first zucchini harvest. Yes, we are a little late in the ball game when it comes to that, but because I planted them a little bit late. So anyway, we haven't actually harvested a zucchini yet. But anyway, all right, so here we got tomatoes. We got these as starts from our neighbor. Also, you can see lots of tomatoes. We harvested one big beefsteak tomato so far. So I think it was the spring that never wanted to end that delayed our harvest and our output this year. But we're still more to come. I mean, really, our big harvest is still coming. We are, yeah, like I said, late in the ball game, but we're going to have a massive harvest. So this is going to be really good. Here's some more pumpkins down here. This is a little in-ground area that I pulled up, and we beat back the blackberry bushes in and planted all that stuff. Here, I'll show you one. There's one down there. Yeah, so grow as much as you can. Make as much use of your space as you can. See, like we're cutting back the blackberries. That goes down to our lower field that's down there. I leave them. I want to leave them because they're from here all the way down that hill to our lower field, which is about 30 feet at least. 30 feet of blackberry bushes is a good denial feature for security. Because I'll tell you what, I don't say it's a delay feature because I don't think anybody's coming through that unless they sit there and they cut their way through, which will take them so much time, make so much noise that we will be onto them before they get through it. So anyway, that you can use as security features also. This in-ground area here, we just harvested a bunch of potatoes and replanted potatoes. Like I said, as soon as we harvest, we replant. Same with this bed here. We just harvested a bunch of potatoes here and replanted. So we'll get another harvest from them. Moving on to this bed here, our pallet bed. I made this a couple years ago. This has parsnips on the left, some kohlrabi you see, and some asparagus. We've never grown asparagus before. This is first year plants. I understand they'll take, you know, anywhere from 3 to 7 years to be fully ready. But you got to think ahead, right? That's part of being a prepper. And down in there, you can see a really nice big kohlrabi. That one is ready for harvest. And there's another good looking one there. So that is this bed. Going over here, I've been having some issues. You can see here with these missing leaves with deer. Never had issues before, but for some reason they're bolder this year. So this is a plum tree that I got from a neighbor. I have another one over there I'm not going to show you guys, but then there's another one right here I will show you guys. This is a second year tree, but then there's also this one right here. Hopefully you'll be able to see it with the Jerusalem artichokes in the background, but that is a plum tree. That's a second year plum tree, and it is doing very well. Speaking of Jerusalem artichokes, that's what's to the left of it right there on the screen right now. And you got the wheelbarrow, of course. Tell you what, that was one of the best investments I ever made, was a wheelbarrow. Because instead of carrying all the dirt and everything like that in buckets, wheelbarrow, yes. Okay, let's talk about sustainability again. These right here. This one, as you can tell, is doing very well. That is a Huckleberry Bush that I dug up from the woods behind my house, because they will produce berries year after year and I don't have to do that much for them. Awesome. This one is not doing so well. I don't see any green anywhere on any of the leaves. I planted 16 of these bushes all around my garden, and I'll show you most of them. If it dies, it dies. So what? I pull it up and go grab another one from the woods and plant it in here, try again. But some of them are doing very well. That one's doing very well. Another one over here, that one is doing, it's doing okay. It's living. But the Jerusalem artichokes, yes, are doing very well. What are Jerusalem artichokes? Jerusalem artichokes are a tuber, like a potato. And what it is they are 28% protein. They're very high in protein, and they're low in the glycemic index, so they're good for diabetics. But because of that, because of the stuff in them that makes them like that, they can cause gastrointestinal pain, you know, farting. But what I do is usually if I'm cooking them up, you cook them just like you do potatoes, any way you cook potatoes. If I'm doing home style potatoes, I'll do probably like 3/4 potatoes and 1/4 Jerusalem artichokes. That way we can still make use of them. And they're invasive species, and they grow really well. They're drought resistant, all kinds of things. I highly recommend planting Jerusalem artichokes in your garden, in your guerrilla garden, wherever. So yeah, that's on with that. Okay, so right here we got some butternut squash. We got some table queen squash also. This is part of our quote-unquote fall garden, I guess, that we harvested up. All that was all full of carrots there before. So we harvested those up, pulled up these. Another thing of note, see I do have some carrots here. Carrot greens are edible. They taste kind of like a cross between a carrot and a blade of grass. But they're edible. What we do is we dehydrate, not all of them, of course, but we dehydrate some, and then we grind it up in this nutrient powder, and we use that for mixing in soups and stews and all different kinds of things. So that right there, those little things are parsnips, also part of the fall garden. And then as you saw, beets. Still got a lot of beets in here. We harvest beet greens. We use them in salads. We use them in stir fries. We use them in a lot of different things. And we also dehydrate them and put them in that nutrient powder also. So make use of everything you can, please. Not just having a garden. All right, so right here, I don't know if you can see it, the dead stuff right here, that is a huckleberry bush also. But there's one over here that, see, those leaves aren't all dead. So that huckleberry bush right here may live. I know it's hard to see because of the background of all the cut blackberries, but here's another thing we got going on in our garden. It's not really, we didn't put it there, but that is Japanese knotweed. Japanese knotweed is edible. It is also medicinal properties. So we let that go, mainly because it's buried down there in the blackberries. But I'll show you another area over here that we also have some Japanese knotweed growing. We also dehydrate that. Sometimes we eat it in salads and stir fries and things, but we also dehydrate it and add it to nutrient powder and powder it up itself. So it's just there for medicinal purposes. Over here in a container, we got This is one of those trash cans cut in half. Here, I'll show you. There you go, the two halves. Top half, bottom half. Make use of what you got, right? All right, we got some squashes coming in there. This was potatoes we harvested and replanted. All these potatoes along here in these containers were already harvested and replanted. That's why they are not as big as some of the other ones. So yeah, lots of potatoes, as you can see. And my trick to container gardening, some people say that the chemicals will leach into the soil. And I believe that's true. So what I do is I use them as is for a season. And then what I do when the season's over, I dump the dirt, the soil from these containers into my raised beds to top off my raised beds. And then I put in new soil in the containers for next year. So every year it's new soil. So it's not in there long enough to really to leach chemicals into the soil. So that's all carrots, or that's all potatoes. And then over here we got a bunch of cabbage starts from my neighbor. So I harvested the potatoes, I put some cabbage there, and then I kind of walked by this bed a minute ago. This bed has a bunch of pumpkins, or no, these are zucchini, sorry. A bunch of zucchini there, and still some beets there. This bed had a bunch of turnips in it. We already harvested them. Turnip leaves are edible also. We use them in cooking, eating, salads, nutrient powder, all that stuff. So we try to make use of everything as much as possible. All right, let's go on with some more of the sustainability stuff. This right here is a raspberry bush, and the deer, yes, got to it, as you can see. First year plant, doing pretty well though. This is another one right here, and you can see part of it died off, but right here, that right there is not blackberry, which there's blackberries all over here also, but that is raspberry. And then here's more Japanese knotweed, and then this is a raspberry also. I know, I need to stake them up. So that's a first year raspberry. That's a first year raspberry. And that is a blueberry, first year blueberry, and another first year blueberry. So what I'm going to do is right about here and right about here, I'm going to plant 2 more blueberries, and then I'm going to build here, let me show you. Right in this area here, I'm going to build, let me see, where's my finger? Right, I'm put stakes or big posts up, and then I'm going to cover the whole thing with netting, and then I'm make a door going in. So that's going to be Berryville. So it'll keep the birds and the deer and stuff like that out of there. And then I'll clean up all this Japanese knotweed growing everywhere. And like I said, more Japanese knotweed. That's another big growth of Japanese knotweed right there. Okay, and actually, and before I forget, over here, talk about, this is like our little guerrilla gardening area over here. So it's right next to the road. What is that? That's Jerusalem artichokes. Because I can, and they're easy to grow, and like I said, they're invasive. They'll just take over that area. I'm not going to harvest them. I'm just going to let them go. That'll be like emergency backup food supply. Just let them take over. And then we had a bunch of potatoes that were volunteering themselves in different beds. So they're planted all through here, and they pretty much already grew up. The plants died. I'm just leaving them on the ground. If they grow and they reproduce, they do. If they don't, they don't. I don't care. It's just trying to make use of my stuff. All right, over here we got a bunch of herbs. We got mint, we got spearmint, we got oregano, we got lemon balm. I think that's it right there. This potato is about to be, potato container is about to be harvested. Kale and some more, here let me walk around here, some more cabbage starts right there, and then some beets that, I don't know, maybe the location and the sun, they're just not really growing that fast. Maybe it'll just take them time though. Maybe they're just slow growers. I don't know, whatever. All right, here's another one of those huckleberry bushes that, let me move around here. All right, they're still green on these leaves. So I don't believe that's dead yet. So that one may survive. This one, however, doesn't look like it's gonna survive. So we're looking at a little less than 50%, but hey, it's free because we grabbed it from the woods. Potatoes, yes, more potatoes, garlic, rhubarb, and this is our little zen area, we call it. Just a little cool area. I pulled these ferns up from the woods, planted them over here. There's a Huckleberry Bush right there that still has green on it, so that may live. And that one has a little bit of green on it too, right down there. That little green leaf, so that may live also. And then we also got an Oregon grape right here we pulled from the woods. Because, yeah, it's sustainable. It'll continue to produce. Oh, and you see all over the place when I'm walking, all these weeds that I don't pull up. Why don't I pull them up and clean it up and make it look nice over here? Because that's all dock. Dock is a wild edible. And you can, for sustainability, you can eat it. A lot of people survive the Great Depression by eating dock. So think about things like that. That weed in your garden may not be a weed. Over here, yes, garlic and onion bed. Doing really well. I need to harvest some green onions because some of those are getting a little too long, and some of them are going to seed. I just let them, whatever. This bed here, you can see the trellis and the posts down there. That used to have a bunch of peas. I already pulled them up and replanted them. They're starting to come up. But we have beets, kohlrabi, and parsnips in this bed. Yeah. All right, over here. Potatoes. Yes, potatoes. Those are getting ready to harvest, as well as this bed. This bed is about getting ready to harvest, and then we'll, same thing, replant, right? Okay. What do we got going on here? We got grapes growing up the trellis. Due to OPSEC reasons, I can't pan up any further, but you can see that. Grapes, those are first year grapes, and they're already up to the top of the trellis. Actually, here, let me go over here, and then you can see, there you go, top of the trellis. They're starting to grow down the other side now. All right, what else does this bed have in it? It has some nasturtiums. It has peppers. These are some of the peppers. It has some beans and strawberries. What I did is on this end bed here, let me show you over here how I added this little addition onto the front of this raised bed, put 4 strawberry plants in there, and then it sent runners out to take over the bed, and I'm letting it. So once all these plants are done harvesting, I will pull them up and let the strawberries continue to take over the rest of that bed, because they're berries, and they will continue to grow back. Sorry. Beans in this container, lots of nasturtiums. Nasturtium flowers are really good. They're edible. They have a peppery flavor, kind of a spicy flavor. You can throw them in, whatever you want to cook them in, however you want to cook them. Use your imagination. All right, some beans. We harvest a lot of beans. And then over here we got cucumbers. Let me get down here. I'll show you. There's a cucumber down there. And there's a bunch of others. I forget where. Volunteer tomato plants. So those will be really good. I believe they look like they're cherry tomatoes. Let me see. Here's another good zucchini or cucumber. And another good cucumber down in there. Over here, this big bed right here is all beans. So yes, we're harvesting a lot of beans. And they're still producing really well. So we're going to keep at it. This bed, okay, this is that pepper I told you about. I planted from seed, and it's doing well. One trick I learned is whenever it gets like this, about 3 leaves up its stalk, trim the top. Then it grows more bushy and produces more peppers. So that's one of the tricks I learned from my neighbor, who's a lot closer to being a master gardener than me. Beans, Swiss chard, beets, and I talked about the, gosh, my mind today. Cantaloupe. This is cantaloupe. I don't actually see any cantaloupe starting, so I don't have any high hopes for any actually getting cantaloupe. Actually, there's a little one right there. But we'll probably not get cantaloupe. It was an experiment. I just put 3 plants here on the edge of the bed to try, because you got to try. This is another bed of ever-bearing strawberries. There's 6 plants in there. They produced quite well this year, and they're actually still producing. You can still see in there. Over here, this bed had a bunch of onions and some beans in it. We pulled them up and filled the bed, topped the bed off, and then planted butternut squash for part of our fall garden. So yeah, that's just part of the process. All right, over here we got some butternut squash, we got some onions and garlic in those containers, and then we got onions and garlic in this bed. Our sage is rocking. We got carrots here that haven't come up yet. Let me see. We do have a couple of things like basil and oregano right there. These are two of those huckleberries that may or may not survive. This one in the front has a little bit of green in some of its leaves, so I'm hopeful. More parsnips. And then up here in the front of the house, blueberry, 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 blueberry. So that's that whole sustainability thing. I firmly believe in that. There's a couple other things we got going around here as far as garden, but yeah, I showed you enough. Probably you get the gist. I like growing as much food as I possibly can. That's pretty sexy to me, being able to feed my family. So I encourage you guys to do that, and please subscribe, hit the like button, that little thumbs up thing, subscribe to the videos. Blah 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 blah. Man, my mind is just not there today. Comment below and have a wonderful day. Blessings to you and yours.